ladies, we're back. Oh my gosh. Welcome or welcome back to On God, a platform for mindful, heartful, and purposeful conversations. Oh my word. I missed you guys. Did you miss me? Did Now be honest now. It ain't good to lie in front of the Lord. Did y'all miss me? I missed you guys. I missed recording. I wouldn't say I missed prayer time or whatever because I was still in my prayer time, and I think I have like quite a bank of episodes that I've written that I was researching on and but I definitely missed standing in front of the camera talking alone in my space and then editing it and then releasing it to you guys, and then it's like, yeah, I'm talking to you guys now. Oh my gosh, I actually missed you guys so bad. But yes, if it's your first time here, welcome to a community of believers who are doing life one stumble at a time. And baby, when I tell you I done had a little stumbly last week, well, the past 3 weeks, I'm just happy to be back. I don't want to lie, I'm happy to be back. So if you've just found us and you're wondering why I'm saying we're back, it's because, baby, I took a 3 week hiatus because I was just not myself. And one thing I'm not going to do, or what we just not going to do in general, is not be ourselves and then pretend that we are ourselves. Okay. Did y'all miss the weirdness? But if you've been rolling with me since episode 1, thank you so much for holding space for me in your heart. If you've been patiently waiting for the past 3 weeks, just, keeping me in your prayers, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, it is so not easy, you guys. I don't want to lie. It is not easy. There was something in me that really wanted to come back, I think 2 weeks after the break, but I tried recording, and then as I was recording, I could just almost feel that no, you're talking out your neck now. Now, what's all that chit chat coming out your neck? And I took another break. And then my son was around for the school holidays. So I also just, decided to focus on that, be there, be present, be with him. And he literally left yesterday. And for the first time, I didn't cry. And the first time he didn't cry. There was just no cry. I don't know. I was happy. I was happy that he wasn't crying, but also it's like, are you really that independent now that you're not gonna cry when you have to say bye to mama? Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. So first of all, June had hands. I was laughing in one of my prep times where I was like, I can't believe I released a whole episode about how May was a beautiful love letter. And, we was good. It just felt like a love note from God. And June was like, well, you have no idea what I'm made to do, matey. Battered, bruised, beaten down to the pulp. You know what I mean? So I was just like, whoa, what was that? In case you didn't watch the last episode, so June was very tricky for me because my son had to go for an op. He's a very, very sickling baby, but he's fine now. By the grace of God, he's fine. He's good. And then my cousin passed on in the most horrific way known to men. And just also reading about it in the news or hearing about it in the news was also like a very huge trigger point. And also at the same time, I was going through a thing. I was going through a thing. I don't want to say a breakup because, like, guys, what happened after that? I was going through a thing where I felt like it required me to step away because I had taken a very huge shift in my walk with God, in a commitment or a covenant that I believe I had made with God. Like, I'd taken a very huge shift. So even with when that was happening, I had to like step away and be very real and be very true with myself and say, how are you feeling about this new shift? Are you going to seek God? seek counsel. And I really did. I really, really did. Just a big shout out to Kieran's mom, who's one of the church counselors. And I had breakfast with her, I think, probably the first week of July or the last week of June, I don't quite remember. I had breakfast with her and I was just like pouring out my heart to her about like just some of the difficulties I'm having with this newfound decision I had made in my Christian walk, or promise that I had broken in my Christian walk, and also other things that were happening, my career, my son, my cousin. So I took that time to just seek counsel. And even before getting back into the word, or, you know, researching or whatever the case may be, even before doing that, I was at a place where, even though I wasn't that much in my prayer time as I would have loved to, but I found time to just keep quiet and listen to God, find time to listen to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. And yo, there was quite a lot. There was quite a lot. All right. So that was a very exciting time. I think today's episode is not really going to be that long. Oh, you know what, let me not even lie. I once said an episode is not going to be long. Baby, I was there sitting 30 minutes in front of y'all talking up my neck. But no, but I think today's episode is just to say I took a break because I was broken, but it just turns out I wasn't broken for the reasons I thought I was broken, if you feel what I'm saying, right? It's like when you take a break and you're like, I think I have a tummy bug. And then you take a break and then it's like, oh, you're pregnant. That's a wild example, but I'm just trying to, like, paint the picture of, you think you're taking a break for one thing, but really it's God just trying to reveal himself to you, reveal yourself to you, and just caution you in just some of the ways you have decided to, not decided to live, but in some of the ways you have conditioned your mind to operate, that is getting a bit performative. So it was a really fun time to take a break to be broken. So let's get into today's episode. So yeah, a break to be broken. Heartache, grief, anxiety. I think those are probably the three prominent or prevalent feelings that I definitely felt during June. And with that, I think I don't even know if my body went into flight or fight or flight mode. It went into a mode, and maybe that mode didn't need me pretending in front of the camera. um and it was it guys, I was sad. I was really, really in June I was sad. I don't want to lie to nobody. I don't want to lie to nobody. In June I was very, very sad. I was very, very heartbroken. And there's this meme where, Wendy Williams is like showing 16 different emotions, and I I think I was that meme. Like, I was that Wendy Williams meme where, you were happy for certain things that were happening, but you were grieving, your heart was aching, you were anxious. Yeah. I don't wish that on anyone. Well, maybe except I'm kidding. Okay. He was like, I don't wish this on anyone, but you got a name in the back of your head who you wish all of that for. But even with all of that happening, um, I know there was a part of me that really started questioning whether or not I should be in front of the podcast, because it felt like, out of the many things that I was going through, it also felt like I was not worthy. Because why is it when I'm going through this mountain of emotions, the first thing is walk away, step away, take a break? You know what I mean? And there's this verse in the book of Luke. I think it's Luke 22. Luke 22, verse 32. That verse really anchored me during times where I truly believe that maybe I shouldn't come back, or I'm not worthy, or is this me being inconsistent? You can never beat being inconsistent in whatever, you know what I mean? And yo, guys, like that verse really carried me. And even as I started unpacking it and studying it in my own prayer time, I was like, oh my goodness. The thing about journeying with Christ is that, like, even when I say it in my in the opening up line, is that you are gonna fall, you are gonna stumble, but we need to know that God, in His grace, in His mercy, has already taken that into consideration. He has already factored in the fact that you're gonna go through heartbreak. You're gonna be grieving. You're gonna be anxious about your son's well-being. But even when that happens, I need you to come and back up. And I just want to read it word for word, the NIV version. Um, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. When you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. So that particular part of the verse, the last line of the verse, is what has been carrying me a lot during times where I maybe felt like I don't know. I don't know if I should be doing this. I don't know if I should be going back, right? But I think what it revealed to me during a time where I felt very unworthy because of this fall, where I've allowed my flesh to give into my decisions, where I've allowed my emotions to take over my entire existence. I was just like, God, I don't even think I'm worthy. But that verse came at a time where I really, really needed it, at a time where the voice of the enemy was maybe a little bit louder than it was supposed to be. And maybe I allowed it as well, right? Because the first instincts for human beings is, instead of facing the problem head on, is that we'd rather fight, we'd rather flight, rather, right? We'd rather step away and give excuses as to why we are not going to step up, or we are not going to show up for a particular calling on our lives, right? So I felt at a time where I was falling apart, God was reminding me that even with all of this happening, I hope that your faith remains. Jesus was saying those words to Peter before Peter denied him 3 times. But he says, even when that happens, gather yourself, bring yourself back to yourself, and continue to strengthen your brothers. And for me, I saw it as an invitation to say, baby, all of that happened. It is what it is. I knew it was going to happen before you even knew it was going to happen. And even the people in your life who are causing this to happen, I knew all about that. But right now, I need you, when you are back up, to return, right? And there's something to be said about the number of times the Bible says, return to me, return to me. Could it be that God knows that from time to time we are going to deviate away from Him through the decisions that we make, through the experiences, the feelings, through the encounters? He says it so many times, whether it's Jesus or it's God. He says, return to me, return to me, return to me. And in this verse, when it says, when you return, strengthen your brothers. Above all, he prays that the faith remains, right? I think what I also took from this was that it's inevitable that we're going to go through hardships. But the hardships can either make or break our faith. And that's why when Jesus said to Peter, was that, listen, you're going to deny me, okay? You're going to deny me. And when you do, you might feel very crappy about yourself, but I have prayed that your faith remains. And when your faith remains, and there's something about the fact that when you have your salvation, when you have your faith, you hold on to it and you give it a meaning, right? When your faith remains, you will always remember why you received it in the first place. Jesus was saying to Peter, you are going to deny me. It's going to be lilac, but let the faith remain because I've prayed for you. And once the prayer has come to pass, come back and strengthen your brothers. During a time of very terrible heartbreak, a time of so much anxiety, Jesus reminded me that you are worthy to return. You are worthy and still called the daughter of the Most High. That I'm still chosen even after the denial. And that is in the grace of God. And I remember just weeping. Oh, baby, I wept when I encountered this verse because I was really at the end where I was like, am I even going to go back? Will I be able to do this? And while I gathered the strength and I gathered the mental capacity to take everything on as it is, though not perfect, kind of, and while we're still on, guys, if I invented grief, if I invented healing, it would have been linear. I can tell you that for free. It would have been linear. It would left, up, down. Yeah, yeah, yes, says no. It's actually disgusting how you feel good one day and then the next day you don't feel good. Like I sit there during this time because on some nights, like you are in the thick of it, and I'm just like, I really would have made the Selenia process. Like I really would have. I really, really would have. But anyway, let's get back into it. So even as I was going through that on nights where I felt really heartbroken, and I want to tell you guys that sometimes the pain was something that I projected to God, right? And I say, God, why do you always do this? Why am I always in the situation where I have to wonder whether or not I am worthy of being chosen or worthy of being adored or whatever the case may be, right? There was times where I really just bowed my eyes out and I said, God, is this my story? Is this my future? Is this what it needs to be? You know what I mean? And and what came to mind during that time was the story of Judas, right? I think it's very easy for us to think that Judas was a bad pick for the 12 disciples in terms of being part of the 12 disciples. Like Jesus made a miss. And I don't know if you know who Jesus is, but honey, he can never miss. Even on his worst day. he just simply can never miss, right? So we are always tempted to hold on to the idea that Judas was a bad pick, but we forget that when it comes to God and making all things work together for the greater good, is that everything, good or bad, is part of the story that he has formulated for me, for you, for anyone who's listening right now. There is a necessary evil. I love calling it a necessary evil that God allows. And I say allow because if God doesn't will it for you, it will not happen. Right? We see it with Job when Satan was like, actually, why don't you give me that homie Job? How about we make him suffer and let's see if he's still going to praise you? And God was like, okay, I'll allow it. Right? But if he doesn't allow it, it just won't happen. So there's a necessary evil that we almost need to encounter in our lives for us to be able to move in agreement or in understanding with who God has called us to be, what God has called us to be, or for us to have a full understanding of the weight of the call on our lives, right? And during that time, I had to and look, I'm one person who will always share the testimony that what the enemy meant for bad, God turned for good. Because if you've watched earlier episodes, I've talked about how my sister's passing was the worst thing that could have happened to me. And even, the issues around her passing, like it was just, whoa, what's happening, right? But it's also like, but what the enemy meant for bad, God turned for good. God allowed it because he knew that kind of evil is what's going to bring me to his knees, to his feet. Sorry. It's what's going to bring me at his feet, praying, begging, God, heal me, right? And fast forward to 2, 3 years, we are now here with the whole podcast, right? Where we are speaking the word for his glory and to edify the body of Christ, right? So during that time, there was a moment where I took a step back and I said, you know what, my heart is kind of hurting right now, and I know blaming you is well, but what is the necessary evil about this? Why is this happening to me, right? And in that moment, I got reminded that there are some people that have to play the painful role in your divine story. There are some rejections. They need to happen because they need to play this big role in your divine story, right? And mind you, baby, I'm in the thick of it. I'm in the thick of it. My heart is hurting. My mind is going crazy. I'm feeling a bit distant from Holy Spirit because I'm not hearing his promptings at that time. And it just really felt like that particular season. Like, and guys, it honestly, it was just 2 weeks of madness. It was just oof. It was 2 weeks of madness, and that 2 weeks really felt like the betrayal kiss. You know, the kiss that Judas gave Jesus. It really felt like that, because it's like I said, May was so beautiful. You know, leading up to June, we were just in a good space, man. Like, you know, we were praying, we were worshiping, we were, you know, hey, it was delicious, it was nice, and out of nowhere, boom, you know what I mean? You're going through this, and it just felt like this big betrayal that I didn't see come from nowhere. Oh, I was so engulfed in so much anger, so much hatred. I was so vengeful. I felt like, who do I need to clock? Who do I need to clock? It really felt like that. And I could almost feel my body tensing up, right? And I always tell this to people, that I'm weird in the sense that I can't house negative emotions for too long, right? And I think that's why when I was not accepting the fact that I was hurting from my sister's passing, I resorted to really drinking excessively, getting high excessively. Like, it was excessive. You know what I mean? It was a mess, right? So I can't hold negative emotions for too long. When that happens, I tend to be sick, baby. I was starting to get sick. I would get nauseous, and I was just like, what is going on? You know? And and in that moment, God reminded me, was on some, so let me tell you about the necessary evil, right? Is that it's not that Jesus was not aware that Judas was going to spin on the whole squad. He knew it, yet still broke bread with him. He knew it, that even when he would give certain parables about, you know, this and that. He never said, Judas, can you please excuse us for a minute, we want to talk. No, still treated Judas like a friend until the very end, right? And I think for me, in that moment, God was speaking to my heart. He showed me my heart. He said, but I don't understand why you're tensing up right now, because forgiving comes easy for you. And I said, but the problem is, if I forgive them early, they gonna think this is Teletubbies, you know? They they gonna think this is a game. It is not a game. And it's like, but that's not who you are. That's not who you are. Yours is to forgive. If you can forgive easy, then that is your gift. Take it and run with it. God showed me my heart, and almost and it's almost like instantly, you guys, I started feeling better about all the times, because I'm also one of those people who would try to not forgive you, because I'm like, I know I'm already over it, like, but you know. But God reminded me, he says, in your nature you can forgive. Forgiving comes easy to you. Whether or not the next person sees it, appreciates it, accepts it, decides to act right, you leave that to me. And guys, when I say I was laying in my bed after that encounter, and I said, I actually forgive them all. I forgive them all, but most importantly, I forgive myself for being so hard on myself, for disqualifying myself from even seeing that I am called, I am worthy, and I am chosen to still run the race. I think the biggest thing God showed me also during this time was my heart. That I don't want you to feel bad, that you are too understanding, that you are too kind, that you are too forgiving, that you will do everything in your power to maintain peace, or whatever the case may be. And the beautiful revelation from that conversation was that anyone that takes advantage of that, where are they? They are not here today with you. So you keep being the forgiving person, the understanding person. And those that appreciate it, those that don't take advantage of it, they are still here with you today. And it was a beautiful way for me to look at life, right? I once spoke about it in one of the episodes where people always be like, "Oh, you need to have boundaries." You need to have boundaries. I'm sorry. Okay, that I'm not saying don't have boundaries. Like you need to have boundaries. You need to be mean. You need to be. But even as I try to assume that persona, it's just like, whoa, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? You know? And it was a very beautiful revelation from God where He said to me, "Listen, when you return, because you have to return. And once you're back to strengthening your brothers, do not lose who you are. Forgiving, understanding. Those who get it will get it. Those who don't, I will do everything in my might to get them out of your life, just like I've done in the past." Right? But most importantly, during this time, and it's something Jackie Hill Perry has preached on, and she's coming to South Africa. You guys, and my best friend surprised me with a ticket. I'm so happy. I can't wait. October, can you get here already? Another thing where I feel like during that time is that above all, God appeared to me as who I needed Him at the time. I don't know if you guys have seen. Oh my gosh, lisp, my old friend. If you guys have seen the movie, is it The Shaft? I think it's The Shack. The Shack. Yeah, The Shack. Where this guy loses his daughter, and we all know dealing with the grief and an right, and then he has this, you know, beautiful heavenly encounter where he went up to the woods, and I don't know, he fell. I don't remember, he fell or something like that. And then when he woke up, there was like, was it a lady? I think it was a lady. Um, and then conversation, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, who are you again? And it's like, oh, I'm God. And it's like, isn't God supposed to be a man? It's like, God can be whoever you need in the moment. And I think during this time, it was when I needed to call on all the names of God, right? I was hurting. I was not at peace. I was going through a lot. And I just felt during that time God say, I need you to call me based on what you need right now. It's not enough to say, um, I don't know, the God of all peace when you already have peace. It's easy for you to believe that the God of peace is with you right now, right? So at the time, I remember praying so hard in one of my prayer sessions, and then I said, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Rapha, I need Jehovah Rapha, the God that heals, the God that heals. That's the God I need. And when I tell you guys, He appeared to me as the God who heals. I'm not even tripping with you guys, because the following days after that, there was just so much peace that really took over my body. Peace in the sense that these things happen. You know what I mean? You're going to lose family members. Your son is going to get sick and you're going to be worried, that is he gonna make it? Oh my gosh, a tiny body, what's happening, right? You're gonna be in situations where people do not choose you loudly and proudly, and that's also okay, right? And I was just at peace, right? And not to also mislead people, I don't want to say like it was peaceful, ta la 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 la. No, like I still spiraled out. Okay, I still spiraled out. I still lost myself here and there, but I always held on to the profound understanding that the God who heals, right? The God who said, if your fathers on earth give you what you need when you ask them, what more your Father in heaven? And that's when I said the God who heals is going to heal me, right? Because the thing about the names of God, whether it's Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Jireh, is that it's not just the names of God, but these are promises, right? And I am so glad that I found myself in a time where I was able to experience that, right? Because even though I can talk back to when I lost my sister and say, like, oh, at the time I needed God to comfort me and whatever, though I didn't loudly call out, the word of the God who comforts, right? It was just so magical. Maybe not magical because we don't do that over here, but it was the most beautiful thing to go to bed and say, Jehovah Rapha, heal my body, heal my heart, heal my mind. And you wake up the next day, and guess what, baby? You's a healed person. You's a healed person. So, if there's anything that I want you guys to take away from this, is that sometimes the break is necessary so that you can be broken, so that things about you can be revealed. And I'm really happy that I took that break, because I stopped feeling bad. I stopped throwing a pity party for myself. And I came back and I said, I'm actually still worthy. I need you guys to remember that there's a necessary evil that needs to happen. You need to let that evil happen. But don't just bask in it and feel sad and cry and beat yourself up. Step out of the maze and say, but why is this happening? You might get the answer today, you might get the answer tomorrow, but our God is so gracious and so good that when you seek Him, you will find Him. When you knock, He will open. And call out the names of God, because the names of God are promises to us. Well, that's all I have time for you, family. And I am so excited and so happy to be back. Not perfect, but present. Excited that I feel a bit fuller than the last time I left. I feel a bit more anchored, and I feel a bit more confident about the fact that God never changes His mind about us. And that is something worth holding on to. And remember, Jesus wept. Peter denied. Elijah wanted to quit. So we are not called to be perfect, but we're just called to partner and do life with Christ. Otherwise, stay mindful, stay heartful, stay purposeful. Love and light.